when it comes to human trafficking, what are some of the warning signs, or what are those pieces that could help somebody identify instances of human trafficking?
Yeah, for sure. So some of the things that we share, for example, with our stakeholders. So we work collaboratively with stakeholder organizations who also may be working or have an overlap with survivors of human trafficking. And so we work to give them assessment questions to help them know what to look for, right? Some of the questions I could in terms of like, how would you recognize this in the street, or in your workplace? um, we refer to human trafficking as something that's hidden in plain sight, right? It's very hard to identify. It could happen to anyone. It could happen by anyone could be the trafficker, right? And so in terms of identifying right off the bat, it is difficult to see right away. Maybe you might see that the individual, just out of looking, maybe they have bruises or marks. Maybe they seem like kind of submissive to the person that they're with. Maybe and some of the questions we ask are you free to, if you had a coworker, for example, I know that was an example we had talked about, but are you free to leave freely? Are you free to have communications on your own with who you wish? Are you in control of your own money? Do you feel like you're safe? Are you worried about your safety? Have you been threatened, hurt, humiliated? Do you have money or documents being controlled? Have you been threatened if you harm, if or for harm if you try to leave? So those are some of the questions. So conversely, if you notice that someone can't go on outings without connecting to someone, or they have strict times when they can leave, or again, those signs of physical abuse as well. Maybe somebody is also retreating more. You notice a change in their weight. You notice a change in their confidence. So those are some of the telling signs. Yeah.
It's so interesting because so many of those signs are signs that could be representative of other situations too, right? Like you mentioned, it could be signs of abuse and those types of things. And so, really, I think, is it safe to say sometimes we just need to trust our gut a little bit if we see something that there's all of these kind of warning signs going off, that maybe it's worth reaching out to the appropriate people to dive into that further? Is that, like, what does someone do if they think that something is up, that something isn't right with a situation?
Absolutely, yeah. So there's definitely a lot of overlaps in terms of like domestic violence as well, right? Like that's
Yeah.
something we were talking about. Um, I think it's really important too to talk about the signs and the reality of labor trafficking. I find we have been talking a lot in the media about sex trafficking, but as an organization, we have a hard time getting the media to talk to us about labor trafficking. And so some of those signs would be different as well, right? Like maybe someone's keeping their documents, someone's in control of their money, someone's in control of how long they work when they leave the house. So those are some other examples I just wanted to add in for
Thank
that.
you.
Sorry, I just have to get to what we can do. So one thing that we wanted to talk about is the importance of do no harm. And so what that means is it's really a balance between considering the safety of the individual and the need for support and how to best do that, right? Because we don't know the layers of their survivor or the victim. Usually we use the term victim more when the individual is still in that situation. They haven't been able to leave. They're still experiencing this. And so, you know, what kind of control or oversight does their trafficker have, right? We have to be careful with that as response coordinators as well. If I send someone a text or an email and they're being monitored by their trafficker, I could actually get them into more trouble and cause more harm. Actually, for that reason, I wanted to show you, we just got these and I'm really excited about it. We just made bake shop cards. I don't know if you could see this, but
Yes.
it has my contact information and it looks like it's just a card for a bakery. And that's to really protect victims of trafficking. So I guess that's part of it is, making sure that when you use technology to connect with this person about what's happening, that you're very sensitive about what those realities might be. Maybe you want to have a conversation with the individual first to say, this is something I've seen. I feel like I need to get you support, or you need to get support, but how could we do this in the best way? You could always also contact the National Human Trafficking Hotline or Crime Stoppers. So they will take reports of trafficking as well and investigate that in a way they might have that trauma-informed, victim-centered approach in a way that maybe you might not, right?
Right.
And then you can always contact police or CBSA as well. But really, National Human Trafficking Hotline and Crime Stoppers, because they can also help you to figure out the tools to deal with that, or to move forward without actually harming or hurting the individual you're trying to protect, right?
Yes. And thank you for several things that you said, but I just want to highlight, I think it's so important how you indicated the do no harm, because that's just it. General public, we are not trained in how to appropriately, properly, respectfully, everything to, dive in and intercept these situations and try to help. So we need to be so mindful of how we do that. And I think how you indicated to ask that question, these are things that I've seen and I'm concerned, how can I best support you? Or making the call to the appropriate authorities that are trained in a trauma-informed response way to do no harm, or do no more harm, I should say, to the victim. So thank you for that.
No problem. And here in Alberta too, reaching out to us at ACT Alberta, like I said, then we can also deal with that outreach piece. If you're worried and you don't want to let the person know that it's you that kind of flagged it, again, then we can do that outreach. We can provide these cards and make sure that we're providing that support to the individual in a way that won't make them face consequences with their trafficker or put their safety at risk, right?
Yes.
So,
because that is the most important in wanting to help them. We don't want to put them in an even more dangerous situation. So yes.
Of course. And we do have, other ways that you can be part of the solution, which is talking about it, spreading legitimate and founded statistics and information, learning more, doing trainings. So there's other ways that you can be involved too.
Thank you. Those are great ways, and we'll make sure to link to ACT Alberta, and so that people can look at those resources and ensure that when they are sharing accurate information.